It's only taken us about, or me, I believe we are now about, midways because of midterms, and to actually do a video. I'm sure some of you are like, oh yeah, I know her, I've seen her. I'm pretty sure some of you are in the CNA class when I'm there on Thursday night pretty late. So hopefully, I mean, you can say hi if you see me walking down the halls. I do want to give a couple of disclaimers prior to me giving this in-person slash, what we're doing here, lecture, is I do have 4 dogs. I will quickly pause it as quickly as I can if they start to act up. But usually around this time is good because people aren't coming home from work. So with that said, also I wanted to just put a disclaimer. This, it's more meant to be not funny, but just kind of show like basically this video, it talks about, and I do this on purpose, and this one I do every single time. I don't take from other videos. I basically say it from the heart, not that the other ones are not, but I really, because things change too in the programs as far as, different life struggles that I've seen students have, and life-work balance, and definitely, and you can see it, I'm so sorry, I forget which week it is. I believe it was from week 310. So I'm not too far behind. But that is what this is about, is basically my experience from myself being a nursing student, as well as, obviously, I mean, I'm around, God, how many LVNs? Basically, let's just say about 110 LVNs, because we have 3 programs, plus we have our 30 RN program, or 30 RN students, plus my BSN students, which I have 60. So I'm quite familiar with the stresses and learning different types of life balances. And I think that from when I talk to students that enter into the program, and good luck to all of you who are applying. I know that the application date is, if I'm correct, it's this month, and it closes sometime. It's somewhere around now. That's all I know. So good luck to all of you who did apply, and I hope to see you. But one thing I do ask is, what is there something about this class that really you felt helped you, or you really, really liked? And this is actually the things that they liked, were these types of stories, or stories that tell about, people like the cheating videos, and the just how the students thought of these certain ways, and just mind blowing. I would never think, wow, that, okay. I'm not obviously going to share too much about it, but either way, in the end, one way or another, usually it is brought to light. But that's not here today. We already had that conversation. We've moved on. That's another thing of letting it go, which we'll talk about today. And it's up to you if you listen to these videos. I'm going to tell you, you do have a last quiz, and I will tell you, and this one for sure will be on there, and but I'll say specifically like what I'm looking for. And this is, I think I've said this maybe once or twice, but I know if I were somebody who was interested in going into this profession, I would want to know as much as possible. And it's not just for Mission, it's for any nursing program. Go onto TikTok, or if you want to, or YouTube, whatever. And we all hear it from other people as well. I'm sure most of us, of how difficult, nursing school, this and this and this, and until you're there, it's kind of like you don't get it. And that is not to be discouraging at all. It is obviously attainable. Many of us do it. It's kind of getting what I'm about to do here. So the first part is going to be understanding different objectives of nursing school, things that you'll be doing, from going to the lab, going to clinical. What does this mean? What does that mean? How many classes? What are the times? And giving you a little more information about that. And of course, if you ever have follow-up questions, I did book another non-mandatory meeting. I know not everyone can make it. We can always meet on our own, or you can email me. Okay, always. And then the other part of it is letting things go. Kind of like what we did last week. We let things go. And I do want to mention one thing, if I didn't mention it, was that, because I did look back, and it's not because I want to be a detective and I'm going to catch you, and like I'm out for blood, if you will. That's funny as a nurse to say that. But my point being is, I went back and I looked, and I say it in the videos where you guys did homework too, and it just comes down to the integrity. And I'm going to tell you, I'm being just completely blunt, it will bite you in the ass in the end. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you get into a nursing program, and I'm going to say any nursing program, unless there's some nursing program that I don't know holds standards to like up to the however far you can reach, is that if I have a video that's due, I'm going to watch that video, because on many of those videos I said, even the last one here from like when I had talked about cheating after, that video on that one even talked about it and talked about the browsers and this and that. The first video I talked about it as well. Meaning you did homework, answered questions, saying, basically writing, I watched this video. Well, either you didn't or you... Anyway, again, so we're going to let that go and we're moving forward. But I just wanted to kind of reiterate that, because, again, I'm telling you this because when you get in, you're going to be, let's say, second semester. And these lectures to me are more obviously I can't talk with you, but this does have to do with what we're talking about. I have to say this, and this is going to be a little bit of a longer video. You're going to get to second semester, let's just pretend, and you're at the very end of it. You're about to go to third. Third semester is your last semester of the LPN program, if you go with us. And all of a sudden, you were supposed to maybe let's say there's a class in, like I know I do this sometimes, there's just sometimes not enough time to get all the information out because students do have questions, and that's okay. So you may even have to do above and beyond of the class sometimes. I have to do that actually for this week. I'm teaching about anxiety and bipolar, and it's going to run into each other. And so I'm going to take that time, I've already done it, luckily, because I have them from previous. But if you don't watch it and then you go to take your midterm, you're going to be like, and my class in general is, if you come, listen, engage, and I teach more than just, more than mental health, but you're going to do pretty well. I'm not saying that anybody's setting up to fail, but a lot of these classes, it's a different way of learning. Okay, so this is really where we're getting into the lecture. Life as a nursing student. This is a different way of learning. I mentioned this prior in another video, but not only are you walking in on day one, of course, excited, and I would hope you would be so excited. However, there is a lot thrown at you from, you must buy this exact color uniform, only white socks, only this kind of, there's so much that you're kind of almost, and I'm not meaning this in any negative way. Again, I'm preparing, and then it's going to come down to like family and whatnot, and to let them know, because not everybody's meant to be in a nursing program at a certain time in their life. We've had many people that I've seen, we just had one actually, who just, it wasn't the right time in that individual's life. They were having a lot of health problems, and then they took some time off, came back, and now they're back. And so Mission College tends to do their very best to work with you. There are two main reasons you're not allowed to come back, and that is cheating, and if it's a safety issue. Like, you did something in clinical that was completely unsafe. So that's that. Those are really the only two reasons that I've ever seen or heard of. And I've been there now, I keep saying 7 years. I guess it might be more now. I don't know. But I was a student there also for quite a while. So going back to what I was talking about, sorry, I have ADHD and I just lost my place. I normally have someone in the classroom and I can say, what was I saying? Oh, yes, being excited. Okay, you're there. And so you're kind of overwhelmed with all of this, okay, things that you need to buy, and it may be a financial stressor. And even though Mission College in general, and a lot of the junior colleges, in the big spectrum, and again, I can't say what's cheap and what's expensive compared to somebody else, vice versa, right? We all have our own budgets and whatnot, but I will say Mission College is really good, like how they pick out their uniforms and which one to get, and like they're not like, hey, you need to go and get figs, this color, like, I say we because I'm a part of it, we really do try to make it like very cost effective. We give you our opinion, we always say get two, and all that. So you're kind of thrown all of that at once. Luckily, you have time. We do give time, and we give, I highly recommend going to those, the sessions if you are interested, and they're posted on the website, the nursing website, so you can find out more, ask questions. Being prepared, that is like so awesome, right? Who doesn't like, at least myself, buying this, buying that, having your planner, getting your whatever it is that you're going to use to stay organized, right? Now, so not only that, then you have your meeting, you may get into the class with like maybe one or two people you kind of recognize from bio, or like, okay, cool. Then you're meeting all, the staff, and we're all very different. I think that's good personally, because you get a different take on things. But there are going to be some instructors that you really connect with the way they instruct, and there's going to be some that that's just life, and we have to work around it and make it work. And I don't want to go too far into that, because I think you know what I mean, and I don't want you not to kind of like veer off and not listen, because some pretty important stuff is coming up, which is, I guess I'll say next, when I'm almost done here. Then there's something called ATI, and so you get a whole bundle of books, and they're called ATI books. It's a tool that we use. Plus, you get a code. You have a computer thing you have to get signed up. And we have a lot of students that aren't. Not everybody's tech savvy. We have a plethora of different ages in the class. Sometimes we have a full mixture from, I think the youngest. Well, you must be 18, because you can't go to clinical if you're not 18. But 18 to, I think, since I've been there, 68. I want to say. And right now, I would say the average, it depends on what semester, actually. But I have students that are much, much younger than me, the same age as me, quite older than myself. We have the instructor, same thing, which, again, I think is so awesome. Many, many, many different cultures. It's a really cool, that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to get, because I get excited, and then I'll just talk about that. But I do find it to be very helpful. However, it can also, thinking about yourself and knowing who you are. So, for example, if you are an individual who maybe English is not your first language, I look at it like this, and this is my opinion. From what I've seen, a lot of these students, and there's a spectrum on where we are there, right, tend to get maybe some, not all. I'm just making a general statement, feel potentially a little bit more anxious, because they're like, oh God, because that is something, that's a safety thing. We need to be able to communicate, because you're basically going to walk in when you go to clinical, and I'll explain what that means, and how many days a week you go to clinical, the times of clinical, what you do in clinical, I am one of your clinical instructors for semester, and basically, if you go in there and your clinical instructor tells you, okay, so this is your assignment for the day, this, and you have been told, and this is what I mean, and this is why I kind of was so cracking down on you guys. It was in the syllabus. I mentioned it several times. You must pay attention to detail. You must, like I know with me, you can't say it back. Say it back to make sure that you understand. If you do not understand something, I can't give a specific. I have the perfect example, but it's kind of like if someone told you at clinical, let's say you're at a nursing home, and many of you are CNAs or in CNA school right now, and you're there, and your clinical instructor says to you, you are not allowed to pass medications unless I'm with you. But the nurse is super pushy. This has happened more than once, and it's like, no, just come here, come. It's fine. It puts you in a really weird position. But if you end up giving those meds and your instructor is not there, that's considered not safe. So these are the things I'm trying to say. It's like really active listening, understanding, taking everything in, and that's why I made maybe I don't know what people thought. I know a couple people are not turning assignments, and all of a sudden, so I don't know on the other end what's going on. All I know is that I'm doing my very best to try to prepare you. Okay. So moving on into kind of the next realm. So now you have all this kind of new stuff being thrown at you. Dates are popping up on your calendar because when we put in our assignments, Canvas, and oh my God, it's just all this stuff for semester. You're going to special orientations where you're getting all this information, meet and greets, all great things. I think it's great that we do that so that you can meet. So first, second, and third go every time. It gives you time to kind of mingle, ask questions. We do this whole, it's like a 4-hour presentation about HIPAA, like not, if you're not familiar with that, it's like basically not giving out medical records. There's many, versions I could give. Basically, if I was in the elevator and I was taking care of Tom Jones, I wouldn't be talking about Tom Jones anywhere else that wasn't private. And that's usually one of the biggest examples that we give because you don't know who else is in the elevator, number one. Number two, you just don't know. And that's our job is to keep their privacy private, just like you would want your medical records to be private. So we talk about HIPAA, we talk about more about the program, we talk about piercings. That's another big thing right now. Oh my God. It's always, let me just say that it's always something. I think I mentioned this before, that students can only have hair color. This may change a little bit, I don't know, but this is what it is right now. Because we are basically checking with the facilities, because I'll be honest with you, I think some of our stuff is kind of outdated. Like, really, you can have one stud in your ear. Like, I understand safety and all that stuff, but then let them cover it or something. I don't know. I have my own opinions, if you will. There's a lot of people with tattoos. I have one full sleeve, one half. My visible tattoos. A lot of students have tattoos. Most places do not allow them. I work in mental health. They do. So if they do, then I'm okay with that. But you go by what basically the instructor is telling you, and we go from there. So it's not like you go from me to then Miss Hong or somebody and say, well, it was okay in Miss Amanda's. Well, this isn't Miss Amanda's. Because, and I make it very clear, if this is mental health, it's different. So yeah, about the hair thing. In the handbook right now, it basically says you cannot have any hair color. This might be on a quiz, by the way. Again, I'll put it on the study guide, but you cannot have any hair color that is not found in nature. I don't like the way that's really worded. You can't really see my hair, and it needs to be done. But usually it's almost black, pretty bleach blonde, and then there's like red in the back. It's faded right now. But I know I'm a faculty, so it is different. I'm not saying, it just is. It's different. Our handbook is different. When I was a student, I couldn't have it. It comes down to no, and you probably won't believe me, but these are actually my nails. I have very long nails. These are mine. They're actually too long. I need to get those done too. You'll notice there is no time to do anything. But no fake nails, no clear, no nothing, no piercings on the face, no tongue rings, no excessive makeup, just things like that. So again, this is me just trying to kind of give you that. Now, the life balance. Here we go. So I'm just going to give you mainly first semester, and that kind of basically tells you how the rest of it's going to go. So for the most part, school is like 7:45. Okay, let me repeat that. I apologize. Tuesday and Wednesday, you have clinicals. Now, there are 2 different clinical times, depending on the facility, what facility we are going to. And usually, and we've been really lucky that we've had the same facilities. So like, for example, the last couple times, it's been, so me, mental health, Crestwood, that's always in the morning, 6:30 to 3:30. That's a long time. I mean, it is. It's a long day. Then, so that's considered the day clinical, and then the evening clinicals, don't quite quote me on this, please, and I wouldn't quiz you on this, but just knowing that there's an evening and a morning clinical is important. And if you said, well, can I switch to morning? Well, no, because like right now, they're at Lincoln Glen and Westwood, two different instructors, right? Because we have 3 groups of 10, or that's how we start off. Unfortunately, we've lost a couple of their own wanting, like, to go, they got into like a BSM program or whatnot. And so, like, one of my groups has 8. So let's say you get into, so you start off in one group, you're just put in groups of 10. And now you're done with my group and you move on to the next one. The only other 2 are, you're put into it and they don't change it. But let's say you're in that group and you're like, no, but I have to have morning. I don't have anybody to watch my kids at night. I'm, again, saying this in the most kindest way, and this is why I like to have this talk. Not that it doesn't matter, of course it matters, but that's the kind of stuff, basically nursing school, I think everything takes priority, depending on the day, what's going on and whatnot, but I want you to be prepared for that, and I know the orientations do that too, but I feel like that's why I like to do these kind of talks, to give you, the more I can say it, and the more I can kind of, get that going, it's always good to have that backup, if possible, and that's the work-life balance. It is hard, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not doing it. I guarantee half of our instructors aren't doing it. Quote unquote, taking the time. We're nurses. We don't do that. I'm sorry. Like, that's so awful. And we should. But so I want to teach the future ones, like, let's start doing this, because it really is true. What's going to happen when, now, yes, nursing school, I understand. But at the same time, this is what I tell my students. Okay, so you're up till 2 in the morning doing homework, right? At some point you become unproductive. I feel like sometimes, and I do the same thing, I'll just do it because it feels good to do it, and I can say, okay, I studied, but at the same time, am I retaining the information? And then on top of that, I'm not getting the proper amount of sleep, and there are so many studies on this. If you're not getting the proper amount of sleep, you're not even taking the information, you're actually hindering your learning. You're not helping. And I'm not saying sleep all day, but really thinking about that. What is best for you? And this is going to really come up probably mainly when it comes to pharmacology. People try to pull all-nighters. That's like kind of the scary class. It doesn't have to be. I really think we tend to build things up in our mind, but it doesn't have to be. Many people do very well, but some don't. It's study habits, make friends. This is not supposed to be a competition. And that really bothers me when I see cohorts like that, where it becomes a competition. Because it doesn't matter if you get it's great if you get all A's. I was one of them, and I was very proud of that. But I didn't run around saying, that's not the point. Let me help you. I see this person struggling. Because you kind of become family. Okay, with that said, you have, and I'm talking about first semester, it will change on the other ones, but it's basically the same thing. It's always 2 days of clinical, and they are always Tuesday, Wednesday for the LVN program. So Monday and Friday are theory days, meaning you go to school, I'm just giving you a roundabout, okay? Like around 8 o'clock to like 3, something like that. And that's like classes such as, like Monday you have like fundamentals, I think med-surg that day, they change it. I'll just tell you the classes so you know. So Tuesday, Thursday clinical, either morning or evening. Then evening, I believe, is 2 to 10. That's late. And it's yeah. And some people like morning, some people like evening. I, as a student, preferred evening. Honestly, I'm not quite sure anymore which one. Doesn't really matter. It's not about me, it's about you guys. But probably morning. But with that said, so then Monday, Friday is theory day. So just keep that in mind. And don't quote me on what classes are on what day. I know mental health is on Monday because I teach it. I'm your last class, done on purpose, and I will tell you this on your first day why. I think they do it on purpose because Monday, I think, is the heaviest day as far as theory classes, and I tend to be extremely energetic and will keep you awake. And it's only an hour. I wish it was longer, but I get you for an hour. So you have mental health, med-surg, fundamentals, another what's called projects, pharmacology, nursing process, and I think that's the theory classes. There might be one more. So that's Monday, Friday. They split them. Just like I said, I'm giving you I can't retain all the information in my head, and it's somewhere between like 8 and 3. So now you know what Monday looks like, Tuesday looks like, Wednesday looks like, and Friday looks like. Then you have Thursday. Again, you're put into groups of 3, and you will have what's called simulation. In first semester, it's mainly learning skills. So you go into the lab, and you'll have an instructor. Hopefully, I'm hoping that I used to do that all the time, but they needed me for something else. I really enjoy doing that, and it's just fun. And you actually teach the students how to do the skills. Then after you learn to do the skills, you practice the skills, and then you have to have the skill checked off. So and that's a 3-hour class, and depending on what time your class is, again, you don't know. It could be 8 to 11-ish, or 11:30 to whatever. And it starts at 8, and it goes with like every 3 hours and 15 minutes. They switch it. So just keeping that in mind. So you won't know which one you're going to get. And you learn the skills such as, IM injections, PO meds, catheters, wound care, NG tube feedings, head to toe assessments, vital signs, some things that you are going to be familiar with as a CNA, which is pretty cool. and then there's more. And then there are due dates for those. So you're supposed to go in the lab and practice. So with all that stuff I just said that you're going to be responsible, on top of a pile of homework, a lot of homework. So depending on what type of class it is in the units, plus quizzes, tests, midterms, finals, and we hear it a lot. Oh, we have 2 tests on the same day. And actually, the students were very surprised when I said one time, "This is nursing school, guys. Like I'll do my best sometimes to adjust and whatnot, but at the same time, this is nursing school. When I used to go here, oh my God, midterms, finals, everything were on the same day. It's changed a lot. Like, we really do try to accommodate. We talk to each other and really do try, because we really do want you to succeed. So imagine now you have that. Plus, you're supposed to go to the lab. We don't say how many hours, but we can tell when we're checking you off. You get 3 times. If you do not pass after 3 times, and you can't just do it over and over and over, you have to go practice again or whatever. And you can't even get tested until 2 other people, your peers, one is a peer and one's a mentor, because we have other people that come into the lab. They have to check you off first before we'll even take you, because in the nicest way possible, we don't want our time wasted either, because we have so many people to check off. And then, yeah, we go into the lab, there's designated people that will go in, do checkoffs, and if you fail 3 times, you are put on a level, which is, remember, I don't like to say right up, you're put on a level, and it says you must pass by this day. And we'll just leave it at that. So that's kind of a roundabout way of looking at everything. Okay, it's a lot, and it's a lot to stay on top of, but usually around your 5th or 6th week, I would say, I know it sounds far away, you kind of get the groove a little bit, and you're like, okay, got this, wake up, lay out my stuff the night before, what am I going to eat, how am I going to eat? I've had a nursing student, I think I mentioned this in another video, she had 5 kids, single mother, passed the program. Amazing. We have people who are pregnant in the program. I can't even imagine how tired, oh my God. The hormones, all that. We've had people who have gone through divorces. We've had people who've gotten engaged. I was one of them, yay, just happened. I think I already told you that, but it's just very, there's a lot going on. But at the same time, it's exciting, because if you're excited about nursing school, this is exciting. And you get in that groove, and I probably never laughed harder in my entire life than teaching in this program with the students. My God, some of the things that have happened, or we have a lot of fun. So I do want to enter that in. It's not this, right here, that's what this is supposed to be yell, the whole thing, the teacher, that better not happen. Sometimes in clinical, not where we go, they love us. But that's just kind of the norm. However, if that does ever happen, please let your instructor know. I always tell my students that we are not there to be disrespected. And we tend to look out for the nurses who we know don't want students. I'm lucky, because all of ours do, where we go. They love us. I've been going there for a long time. I've built a lot of rapport. Mental health is fun. So, okay, now with this said, so I think you're getting the life balance of okay, and is it worth it? Yes, it is. It is worth it. It goes by like that. I was looking at my 3rd semesters, because they're a month away, and I'm like, what? You were just sitting in my class, and I'm mainly 1st semester. What? How did this happen? It's amazing, but it's just geez, oh wow. And then they see them go, if they get into our RN program too, oh my God, or whatever they choose to do. Okay, now the last part of this is letting things go. I personally, in my own way, can understand points are important, especially in a program like this. You must maintain, this is another thing that might be asked on our last quiz. Remember, I'm only giving 2, I cut the 3rd one out. You must maintain 75% in the class. In this class too, and they mean it. So let's say you're in a class right now and you dip below and you're at 73% and there's nothing else to grade. Hopefully they're looking, I know I do, because I'm well, hey, if I can get them back up, let me help them. And that makes sense, right? If they're at that percentage, you will be put on a level. And who knows, you could already now let's pretend you're late to clinical now, and you're supposed to, and this will all be explained, let your clinical instructor know 30 minutes prior, of course, unless you get a flat tire 15 minutes away, but that's a whole other story. And let's say you're late twice now. You got a verbal, and then you're put on a level. So now you're in a level 1. Then 2 weeks later, in med-surg class, in your medical surgical theory, your grade drops to a 69. Then you're going to be put on a 2nd level, and there's always dates saying, let's make goals. We're trying to help you. Let's make the goal, and how can we do that? And we write it together. And no, we cannot take your hand and make you sign it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So we're trying to have you fix the problems, right? And usually, not always, but usually, the being late part, or these are many things that can be avoided, and that's the whole point. we're trying to, because again, that's what I'm trying to do in this class. And I feel, and this is just my personal opinion and from what I've heard, that, I mean, I really try not to make this hard. I try to make it like, wow, you get to watch these videos and hopefully they're helpful. And again, if you're watching them, that means you're really in this. And they really do help. I wish I would have had this. I wish I would have had this class before I got in. I really do. Because, I mean, I did extremely well, but just some of us may adapt to things quicker, but maybe some people need a little bit of more prep prior, and there's nothing wrong with that one way or the other. We're all different. So when I say letting it go, this is what I mean. A lot of my students that I've worked with, not all, will tend to catastrophize, and I'm not going to say which school, but one over the other, over like a point, 1 point, and it's like, really? Are we really doing this right now? However, if it's on me and I wrote like a horrible test question and even I read it and I'm like, this is stupid. It does not even make sense. Not even sure what I was trying to say. Of course, I'm not going to take that point away from you. But sometimes, for example, let's say you, kind of like what I was saying in the announcement. So I'm not expecting you to be a mind reader, but if I'm giving you, and I wait, because I kind of try to, again, I want to see what you're kind of thinking already. And then I say, I'm not taking points off yet. However, and now moving forward, if I don't feel you're actually answering the question or you're just going in and writing like 3 words to answer the question, and it's a 10-point, assignment, I'm not going to give you 10 points. I actually think I give you more than, I'm going to tell you right now, than the previous instructor would have. And she's one of my favorite people in the entire world. But, I might give you a 7 out of 10. And then hopefully you're learning from that. Because in nursing school, what you probably get is a 2. And so when I say letting it go, or let's say you get put on a level, have your feelings. Have your feelings. Or if you get pulled into the office because you need to be talked to about something, I, of course, as a mental health nurse, think it's very important to process our feelings. That I'm not telling you what to do. Process our feelings, talk to ourselves, cry. You will cry. I guarantee every single one of you will cry at some point, just from exhaustion or from like stress or like, oh my God, I'm trying so hard, what's happening? But then it's like the next week, then you get like 100% on everything. Like it's a very, it's almost hard to explain. But once you're there, you'll definitely understand. I am wrapping up, by the way. I know this is a little longer, and I'm rambling a little more than I had anticipated, but I really wanted to make a video like this. So just please keeping in mind the letting it go part of, because when we hang on to that and it's like, okay, let's say I had a 90% in a class and I lost 2 points on something on a test, let's say, and I knew the answers, but I just didn't read the question correctly. A lot of people will beat themselves up over that, and then all of a sudden they have an 87 or something. First of all, you're still passing, and I'm not one to say C's make degrees, because I will say if you want to go to a higher level of education, you do need to keep your GPA up. But at that point and moment, check the facts. Are you in the program? Yes. Do you have a high B? Yes. You're doing fine. Everything's fine. You have plenty of opportunities to. That's what I said in this one. Like when the zeros were given out for the quiz, when people went outside the browser, because that's in my contract. In the contract. Like it didn't even hardly move. I have people in this class that have like 104%. I'm like, how do you even have 104%? And it took them down to like a 103.7. So point being is learning to let those things go, because if we hold on to them and then it's like within us, then it's hard to like get started on pushing forward to do the next thing. And then we hold resentment as well. So, and we're not going to see eye to eye on everything with your instructors, with your classmates. We're together so much. Again, it's like a family. Okay, there was one last thing I wanted to make sure to say, and I knew I was going to forget what it was unless I said it in the beginning, and that's why I said say it in the beginning, and of course I didn't. Another thing also is no false eyelashes. Yes, of course you can see extensions, but they don't allow that either in the program. I'm so sorry. If it takes me more than like 15 seconds, I will not. Well, darn it. Well, must not been that important. And I even said if I did forget about it, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I hope this was helpful. Again, I apologize. I know I kind of went off track a little bit here or there and, came back and forth. That's not the norm of usually how I lecture. Like when you're with me in mental health, it's very, very different. In this class, I more like to have conversations basically with myself. So this wasn't, I know I said it, it's not supposed to be discouraging. It's supposed to be encouraging, and so that you can plan prior, therefore, again, helping you to be even more successful. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to, there's no homework for this, but I'm going to make a little disclaimer that, it is fair game that I may ask some questions from it, but I will let you know what to look for. And I hope that it was helpful, especially that part about the theory part, and whatnot. I'm going to put that in there too. I'm going to look like where in the video that is. If you're only going to watch a certain part, to definitely watch that part, but then there might be questions on the quiz. So anyway, please feel free to always contact me. I know I say that every time. I will be posting the Zoom for our next non-mandatory meeting very soon, and I'm going to get this up for you guys. And thank you for listening. I appreciate it.